So, this is Three Brothers Movie Reviews. We just saw Venom at the Edwards Cinema, and the movie is directed by Ruben Fleischer. It's a Sony superhero movie, and it stars Tom Hardy, Michelle Williams, lots of different people. Essentially, there are these symbiotes on the spaceship, and they get brought down to Earth, and then one way or another, Tom Hardy gets the suit, and he becomes Venom, and lots of stuff happens. And
Yay.
This movie, it was strange. So around the table, Gavin, what did you think overall of Venom?
Oh my gosh, Venom is not good. It's not good at all.
It's not good, yeah.
It's fun. It's a blast. I can have fun while watching it. That's about the best thing I can say about it.
I think. So, did you think it was fun overall?
Like, there were fun moments, but overall it was very boring for most of it. Like your opening 5 minutes is there are the alien symbiotes on a spaceship. Spaceship crashes. There's one symbiote that escapes, and the other ones get taken by Riz Ahmed and his character, and they're gonna do evil stuff with them. And then cut to Venom,
Yes.
the title, and
Basically.
it was just going so fast. Like, that 5-minute prologue went so fast. You get all the information you need. It's not that I was confused, but I just felt like everything was zipping by so fast, and yet at the same time I was bored.
Yeah.
I was bored because I felt like it wasn't going anywhere interesting or fun.
So are you kind of found it boring. I found it unintentionally funny. Like, what's your overall thought on it? Like,
It's fun, not good. That's basically my
fun,
opinion.
unintentionally funny, boring. So
We have a very diverse.
I mean, it's
opinions right
going
here.
all over the place. Like, the reviews are very different. Some people think it's fun. Some people think it's genuinely like a great adaptation and are like, yeah, this is good
Right.
stuff. So like, overall, this is not a movie which is like destroyed. And I didn't.
Yeah. For those people,
I struggle
who
with
think-
saying that it's like a full disaster, but in a lot of ways it is.
This is a movie that was left on the stove too long.
Yeah.
Like, this is a movie that's been in development for years, and the problem that I think overall is that this script feels like it was written back in the early 2000s. They've made minor tweaks to it. They've like gone through who knows how many directors, who knows how many people. Like the trouble that I really had with this movie is it just felt so bland and so generic that there was often moments where I was like, I don't really see the heart of this movie. Like, I don't really feel anything for these characters. Like, the best moments where I would actually agree with you were the unintentionally comedic moments.
Yeah.
And those were like the moments that I actually felt something, where I was like, this is actually kind of funny, where Eddie is like talking to the evil alien that's in his head in like really strange scenarios.
Who said that? What was that? It's like, wait, can you go back? Yeah,
I mean-
it's just.
Obviously, Tom Hardy knew exactly what movie he's in,
Right.
but at some points, he seems like he's almost trying too hard. He's trying almost too hard to be funny.
Yeah.
Which is fine, I guess, but he seems very off. Not just in his funny role, but just
The
I'm not trying to diss Tom Hardy. His
You're not
role is
dissing Tom
funny,
Hardy.
but-
I think it's just
I
a
mean,
limit.
he's
I think it's a
talented, yeah.
limitation. It's a limitation of an actor. Like, I would actually point to Riz Ahmed. Riz Ahmed is a great actor.
He talked by Jake Gyllenhaal in Nightcrawler. You're like,
Absolutely.
he is talented.
He's very talented, but I
Oh, he
think
was
that
a Nightcrawler? Oh,
I think that
man,
almost
what are you
any
doing?
actor, if he is paired with a director who is not giving him the right direction, any actor could look bad.
He didn't seem to know what movie he was in. Like,
No.
he just monologued all the time. Like,
Every
you
single
don't
scene that Riz
understand
Ahmed
his
was in.
character, and he
Right.
just doesn't. He doesn't really have any character at all. He's just this guy who's leading this corporate empire.
Every
Yeah.
single scene that Riz Ahmed was in, I wanted the scene to end and get back to Eddie eating tater tots.
Right, and I think that the best part about like the experience of watching it with you is there's a moment where Eddie, who is like in this crazy weird rom-com with a symbiote, meets Riz Ahmed's character in a room. It's a quiet, like serious scene, and you are laughing your head off.
I swear, just every line that those characters uttered, like no one else was laughing in the theater, but I was laughing so hard because all of the lines just, there was just something about the deliverance of those lines that was just, I could not
scripts-
stop laughing.
Whoever wrote the scripts, I commend you for trying. You did a good. You didn't do a good job with the script. Everyone who's an actor in that tried with the script. The only one who succeeded was Tom Hardy because he just decided not to care.
And there were moments with Michelle Williams where maybe I just felt bad that Michelle Williams was in this
Yeah,
movie.
she wasn't fully
Like,
wasted. I'm like, I figured,
No.
like, how is she cast? I'm like, this is a very, very talented actress. She
You didn't
isn't
think
like,
she was wasted?
she isn't underutilized.
I guess so, but
It was-
still, she's boring.
I think she was in. She wasn't in enough of the movie to get dragged down by it.
Yeah,
Like she was
especially
in few enough scenes that I think, okay, you came out rather okay.
like the first act. I mean, she's just like snap, snap, snap.
Yeah.
I guess this is who she is, and then she isn't really
Get our
developed,
PG-13 romance scene between these two, so you like Eddie.
with like the tie. That was weird.
Yeah.
That I think is the biggest problem. And I mean, I reviewed it individually, but the character motivations are basically non-existent. Like you
Yes.
don't know what drives Eddie Brock. Like what is it that he wants? Like what is it with the symbiote that like is giving him a drive or something to shoot for? It's the same with the
that
villains
scene
and
where
every
it's
other character.
That
Like
scene, that one moment where it's just like, okay, let's save the world. You don't get why he cares.
No,
You don't
no,
get
no.
why Eddie Brock cares. The only explanation that you get is that he likes the symbiote, but there's no explanation on why he likes the symbiote. The symbiote has been lying and killing him this entire time.
Right.
At
And
least
then he's
in-
just like, okay.
At
I'm good
least
with
in
you now.
Spider-Man 3, as goofy as it was, they're like, when you get this symbiote, it's awesome. You're like snapping around, dancing.
Yes.
It's great. In this, you just kind of get it. It repairs any injury that you get, and that's about it. You're like, what is it that is so like thirst quenching? Like that's the
Right.
thing. In the comics, you're like, when you get the symbiote, you want to keep it. You don't want to get rid of it.
Yes.
It's like
And also in the comics,
there's something about it.
when you get the symbiote, you kind of become a different person. You kind of become the symbiote.
Yeah.
Inside of this, Eddie Brock and the symbiote are two separate people.
They are.
They're not one being.
Like that
Whenever
line
they say
from the-
we,
Right.
it kind of feels like you and I.
And
Like there's
Eddie-
that scene, he's like,
Yeah.
we
what
as a
happened?
collective.
He's like, what happened to we? And I'm like,
What
there
happened
never
to
really.
we, man?
He's
No.
like, there never
What
really
happened to
was
we?
a we in the first place.
No.
It never really does feel like the two of them are one. That's the thing which it feels like in the comics.
That was a big
Yes.
problem that I had, is that Eddie doesn't like Eddie's biggest personality change is after he interviews Riz Ahmed. And early on in the movie, he uses his girlfriend's laptop. She has access to information on Riz Ahmed's company. He finds out that they're doing experiments that are killing people, and he basically ambushes him during an interview and gets fired. His girlfriend loses his job. Like, the biggest personality change he experiences is after a wildly out of place, like 6-month time jump. He's like drunk in a bar and like just a
That's
loser at that point. But that's the problem. His major character change happens in the first act and not after he meets the symbiote.
Yes.
And even then,
Like,
when
he doesn't actually undergo really any change after he meets the creature.
and even in that first act, you have like the scene with the girl with the newspapers, and you're like, he doesn't really have any traits that make him bad. Like,
No.
he like looked at Michelle Williams' like papers, and that's his.
He
But
never
he
seems
doesn't
like
have.
a
That's the
bad
problem.
person.
He doesn't have any traits that make him bad. But
Yeah.
can you name anything that makes him good? Like, he's nice
to everyone. That's
he's
about
bland.
it. Yeah.
He's bland.
He's cool and he's nice. That's
I would much rather have them have a character who is less likable, with more like easy to see flaws, because at least that might be interesting.
In Spider-Man 3, he's kind of a jerk. In Spider-Man 3, he's a jerk.
Yeah, he's.
To be fair,
he's awful.
Topher Grace was
Yes.
terribly miscast.
He is
Very
awful
much.
as him, but at least he has a character. At least
Yes.
Sam Raimi had some idea of what he wanted.
You know who he is.
In this, it's felt like they kept on switching between, oh, we want him this way, oh, we want him this way. And it never really felt like there was a definitive, this is who he is.
Right.
Yeah, it's the same with the movie. Like the movie doesn't really decide what it wants to be. If it wants to be an action movie, like a kind of body horror movie, it doesn't really make up its mind over what it wants to be.
That's the problem. I think that this is a movie that's been in development too long. It's passed through too many cooks, and at the end of it, you're left with a movie that, like, I can practically see the, oh my gosh, the kids are into the drone thing. Let's have the drones chase down Eddie in this ridiculously boring chase scene.
Yeah, it's so hilarious that like scene is just so poorly directed, and the stakes are so low, and it's so long, and you're just like, what is the point of this motorcycle chase scene with these drones that turn into blue flame when they hit someone? And I was laughing through that scene, and I just like, what is going on? And like, you can tell Tom Hardy did none of his stunt driving in that scene.
You can tell.
All of those shots with him on the motorcycle are a CGI background.
Yep.
And there's so little of the actual, of you seeing someone driving the motorcycle. It looks like...
There's no moment in that whole scene where I felt like anyone was in any danger at all.
Like, you needed like a good tracking shot, like something to show, someone drove a motorcycle for this film, and they were in danger, I guess, the stuntman, but not Tom Hardy, so...
Do you think there are any good qualities to Venom? Like, what's good about it?
Yeah, that's what
We've been riffing it, but is there anything good?
I'll throw something in the ring. They had moments where and I think that there's some unintentional comedy, but I think there is some comedic elements to it that do work.
Yeah,
like,
I kept mixing those up, but it's clear that a lot of that movie's trying to be funny.
Yes.
And it's not like Marvel humor necessarily. It's kind of like rom-com humor.
It's a strange.
The Last Jedi was Marvel humor.
Yes,
it
I
doesn't
wouldn't
feel...
say it's Marvel humor. I'd say it's Sony type of humor, where it
It
feels like they're
felt
kind
distant,
of trying something new, and it's not really working.
The best stuff is the dialogue between Venom and Eddie. Because they have a weird...
their conversations.
Yes, their conversations are kind of funny because it's funny
And
to
it's
watch.
not that their conversations are good. It's just that their conversations are weird and funny.
They're the most unique thing in the movie.
Yeah.
Like, in a movie full of dull moments and scenes that you've seen a billion times before, it stands out that Tom Hardy is talking to himself through half the movie, and that's kind of funny.
Like he's even before he gets the symbiote, he's in like the store, and like the woman's on the other side. He's like, I was this reporter, and like I had to hide all these people, like trade places. You're bad at hiding in plain sight. Like, and I swear, him talking on the phone, those were some of my favorite unintentionally funny moments. Him talking on the phone.
Because he's not even talking in like a concerned manner. He's just talking in this really weird New Yorker accent, and he's like, he's super calm. He's like, hey, I'm calm right now. Hey, can you call me back? Hungry. What?
That's the biggest problem I have with the movie, I think, is nobody really feels like a person.
No.
Like, they feel like they feel like they're reading a straight book.
Especially Riz Ahmed.
Especially Riz Ahmed.
They feel like cartoon characters. They feel like something that you'd see in a Saturday morning cartoon.
Yeah.
But a bad
But
Saturday
a very
morning
bad,
cartoon.
a very bad Saturday morning cartoon.
The interview with Carlton Drake, that scene, it's just, it really feels like it's written by like a middle schooler. I'm like, who wrote this? Like, the dialogue, it's really clunky.
This is the biggest problem that I tend to have with a lot of Sony movies is especially when they're doing a superhero movie, everything is oversimplified.
Yeah.
Like, character motivation is oversimplified. The plots are often strangely overcomplicated. And if you want to talk about a movie that honestly would have been better had they lowered the scope of the stakes at the end, like
This is Spider-Man 2.
No. I'm talking like this movie. Like, Venom did not need to have an ending where...
no spoilers.
No spoilers, but where the fate of the world is at stake.
Yeah.
This is a movie where it would have been much better had it been lower stakes, make them more personal, because...
It should have ended like the first Sam Raimi Spider-Man movie. Something that's like very close quarters and down to earth.
you don't need to like. It's the same problem that I have with Suicide Squad, where Suicide Squad is practically begging it to be this small, contained heist film, and then it becomes a battle to save the world from an evil witch who's gonna like knock out all the military satellites, and it was like this got out of hand.
Yes.
And I mean, what does Venom do in the original? He wants to kill Peter, and like, they're not fighting in space, they're fighting in New York and
Right.
just beating the tar out
And
of each
even
other.
in his own comic series, what's he doing? He's hanging out in San Francisco being this really bizarre vigilante, but he's not doing anything that you would see in an Avengers film.
No.
Do they ever explain Riz Ahmed's motivations
He
for
wants-
wanting to go into space? I don't think they ever did.
I think the closest you get to it is when is there's a scene early on when he's talking to a character who is like part of the symbiote experiments.
Yeah.
And he does this he basically makes this parallel to the story of Abraham being asked by God to sacrifice Isaac,
that
and
was
I think he basically like puts himself in the role of God.
He does.
But-
I'm like,
That
that
was
reminded me of Batman v
annoying.
Superman: Dawn of Justice.
Oh.
With like the whole stuff with God. I'm like, please stop
felt-
saying God. I'm
he
like,
felt
what are you
like-
talking about?
He kind of felt like Lex Luthor inside of Dawn of Justice. He felt like
Did.
a bad,
He was all quirky and like
not
so
good.
unintimidating. Yeah.
Very unintimidating.
All right, so
Very.
back to genuine
Even when he
positives.
had Riot.
Yeah.
Even when he had Riot.
So back to genuine positives. There are some effective comedy. Like what else?
Yeah.
Like we said that the CGI's par. It's okay. It looks fine.
Not the best.
And Eddie Brock,
Well,
or I mean,
something to point out, the CGI is okay, but the animation itself is terrible. Like, there's a scene where a car
Right.
flips over, and it flips over, and then just
yeah. I
Yeah.
saw
It
that
just-
this time. The way
Just
it's
thunder.
in the opening scene. Like the
It didn't even,
van
like-
the van
it
is
just-
flipping, and then
That's-
it looks like it was rushed, like you said
It-
with that. And then the
it looks
way
like
it fell.
it looks like the director just came over to someone working on a computer and just said, "Okay, cut it down, cut it down."
I don't even think it's
now.
necessarily.
We need to get
I
this
don't even think it's
It's just like,
necessarily
okay.
an animation issue. It's an issue of the physics are off. Like in a movie where you're going to have a lot of CGI, that's not necessarily a problem. But you have to, like, the whole idea with a special effect is you want to deceive the audience into believing, just for a moment, that it's real.
Yes.
And the human eye can really notice when the physics are wrong.
Yes.
Like
definitely.
even in a purely animated movie, like the physics have to be right so you believe them. Like there's enough believability in a movie like Up,
Yeah.
which is a silly movie about a guy who like uses balloons to lift his house up in the air.
Yeah.
Well,
But
Up
when
used
every-
suspension of
you
disbelief.
believe it. Like the way they film it, the way it's put together, you believe it.
Yeah.
when like the balloons are going up and like the house is creaking up, you can see. Well, rabbit hole. We don't want to go down that.
Yeah,
but
yeah. Like you can see.
I'd much
like,
rather talk about Up than
I'd
Venom.
much rather.
Yeah. Up used suspension of disbelief, and the animation works because it feels logical, but bends reality just enough. And like something like a van crashing, it shouldn't be that hard to animate, but the way it was unnatural. So the CGI is
If
okay.
the-
Like we're not saying the CGI is like Interstellar.
Yes.
The CGI is fun.
But
It's-
if the only
it
good
works.
qualities in this movie are that it has good CGI and that
It has decent comedy,
comedy,
and Tom Hardy-
that's about it.
And
That-
Tom Hardy is a fantastic cast, and he knows what movie he's in. Do you have any other positives, like genuine redeeming traits?
No, not for me.
Honestly, I don't see any reason to see this movie in theaters.
Yeah,
Like I mean, if it all comes down to it, this is a red box.
absolutely.
This
This
is a red box rental at best.
I
This
think
is
I
a
could
red-
buy this on
this is-
Blu-ray. Like Truth or Dare.
buy this on Blu-ray.
Truth or Dare was almost that bad. I've considered buying Truth or Dare, but that movie doesn't own it enough. The second half of Venom owns it so much, and I laughed so hard, and I cannot wait to just watch that at home. No other people to piss off in the theater and just laugh at everything. Guffaw. This is the best unintentional comedy I've seen in a
not sure
very,
if I-
very long time.
I'm not sure if I'd actually want to watch that again.
I would admit it'd be funnier if I could riff it.
That
Like there
is
were
true.
moments in the
It feels
movie
like
where
one of
I
the-
was whispering in your ear,
Yes.
and I wish I could have just been sitting with the three of you in our living room
Just
watching.
feel like, well,
It
that
feels like a movie that would be better played if it was played kind of like Monty Python, where it's just like,
Yeah.
it's a goo.
If they just were like, look at what we have. We have no chance. Let's just blah. Yeah.
And
Okay, I want to see this now.
Instead, they kind of
Python and the evil symbiote.
Instead, they kind of switched between, like, we're serious now. Oh, now we're funny. Oh, we're serious again. And it felt very off-putting, just having it be serious then funny, serious then funny.
On that
If
note,
they
are we
just
going
kept
to
it-
talk spoilers?
Do you want to talk spoilers? Or?
There's, I mean, I really don't have much else to say about this movie, but there's one
Yeah.
thing in the movie that just drove me up the wall.
Okay,
all right,
we're
so,
having a
all right,
full
spoilers right here.
spoiler discussion
we'll
right
put,
here.
We'll put our final thoughts in the timestamp.
Yes.
All right,
Final
spoilers
thoughts,
go.
timestamp.
All right.
All
the
spoilers.
only thing that just kept actively annoying me is early on in the movie, there's the spaceship that crashes. It has symbiotes on board. It's really strange though because you don't know how they got them, where they got them from.
They never
just
explain.
have symbiotes.
They just got him.
And the only thing that you get to explain that is the little doctor talking to Eddie saying like,
Right.
we found them on a comet. We found millions of organisms on
Yeah,
a comet.
she unloads so much important stuff in there.
Oh my god.
Go on.
Like-
what about
But
that?
this is the trouble. Basically, like the main plot kicks in when the spaceship crashes. Riz Ahmed's character manages to get some of the creatures, but one of them escapes, and it just goes on this journey throughout the movie, and it just grinds the movie to a halt to show you
Every single time.
the snail pace of this creature basically jumping between hosts to get to San
They
Francisco.
cut
And
back
there-
to it 4 or
there's the
5
part.
times, and it's just
Yes.
it manifests all these people, and it is going on this journey for
And
6 months.
yes,
like
there's a
I want to
point.
see that.
There
I
is
want
a
to see this
point.
epic journey of the paramedic who is infested by the symbiote,
There is a
like
point.
traveling through the forest.
There's a point where they
What?
have this little time stamp on the movie that says 6 months later, and then they cut back to the alien symbiote and the host traveling. So that means that this alien has been traveling for 6 months.
And it landed in Malaysia.
And it landed in Malaysia
It's
and just
not-
went back to the lab.
You could have gotten on an airplane and gotten to San Francisco faster than that. Like,
Yes.
why on was it like swimming?
By
It
the way,
must have been swimming.
By the way, that time jump was so inconsequential. I mean, right
Yes.
after that, they're like they put the first symbiote in a rabbit, and I'm like, how have you just started putting the symbiote in the rabbit? That's like the first thing you do.
It was really bizarre because
And then
You're
right
right,
away,
nothing would have
Riz Ahmed is
changed.
like, okay, let's do human trials.
Yeah.
Which makes sense for
You could have said like
No,
you
it
could have
doesn't.
said like
It
2
doesn't.
weeks later.
2 weeks. I
weeks
would have
later.
bought even a month. But 6 months later,
6
like,
months.
okay,
half
like
a year.
like Michelle
and
Williams'
Eddie hasn't
relationship
gotten
with his
himself off the ground.
Michelle Williams' relationship with her new boyfriend. You're like, you're saying they've been together what, maybe 5?
that's maybe
months?
the
So, like,
only. That's maybe the only
he has a
reason.
key,
That's
so-
maybe the only reason why 6 months is justified is Michelle Williams has a new boyfriend.
Yeah.
Like nothing changes for Eddie, nothing changes for Riz Ahmed. Like
It's
Nothing
really
changes
nothing,
for much fun
nothing
at
is
all.
nothing. There's no consequence to there being a 6 month time jump. And to be really honest, like that's a really easy way to grind your movie to a halt. And that's honestly my biggest problem with this movie. Actively, is the editing is bizarre.
Yeah.
In a way that makes the action feel extremely boring. It makes scenes where there's characters interacting feel awkward and stilted, and it's strange. It felt simultaneously like it was just burning rubber through the whole movie, and yet I was bored.
Yeah.
Where I felt like there was like
You said
to
it perfect.
something interesting.
You said it perfectly. The movie is going too fast, but the pacing is so slow.
Yes.
It is
It's
boring.
It's
and
ripping through the screenplay.
It's-
They're
but-
going through
it's
so much
rushed and it's
material
boring.
Yes.
in this. They're going through so much material in the most boring way ever.
Yeah.
My one spoiler thing, which I have to mention, is the ending of the movie. I said it in my review. It is silly, and I swear I cannot take it
talking the end
seriously.
credit scene?
No. They are fighting and like ripping. They're like, and then you can't tell what's going on. And then they both get detached from their symbiotes. And then he throws Carlton Drake off of the side, and he's like, "You talk too much," and I'm like, "That's what I'm thinking." And then he gets stabbed,
too much.
and I'm talking like a spear, like this wide, is in his chest cavity, and he is sitting on the ground for like a minute straight, just like dead, with this spin
Not
just
even-
sticking out, and they play like this romantic music as the symbiote comes back to him and it manifests itself into him again. And then it takes the spear out and it runs up on the launching spaceship and it stabs the side of the spaceship and it scratches off the side. Fuel leaks all over the place and explodes. Like, I mean, what? He's scratching the side and it explodes. It is, the explosion itself happens in like maybe 15 seconds. It is so disjuntled. I was laughing my butt off. I was like, what? And he's like, goodbye, Eddie. And then it goes off and then he falls like 50 feet into the water and he is
When they start
completely
playing
unscathed.
Skyfall music.
And that ending, the way him scratching the side of the spaceship, I was laughing my butt off. And that is what I demonstrate that movie. I'm like, that movie embraces itself enough to do something so goofy that it would not exist in any other movie. That is the perfect example for me of the unintentional humor, and I find that a redeeming trait which makes it entertaining, and I really will buy this on Blu-ray when it comes out.
The spoiler thing that I want to talk about is not anything to do inside the movie. It's the end credit scene.
Oh, gosh.
Classic Sony, they
Oh,
do the end
gosh.
credit scene as to build another one.
Yeah.
And you get Woody Harrelson as Carnage, just in this little cave, in this prison.
Like a
Eddie's
Silence of the
talking to
Lambs
him.
setup,
Yeah,
yeah.
Silence of the Lambs setup. And
It's the most
Woody
Sony thing.
Woody Harrelson has this wig on.
It's terrible.
It looks like Ronald McDonald hair. It is this just big fluff ball of a wig.
Bright
That's
red.
That's
Bright red.
Red.
That scene could have been
Bright.
reshot. That scene feels like they were just
Oh,
shot it like
Lord.
they made it and they're like, wait, we need a sequel, and then they're like, let's just throw Carnage into the mix.
Woody
Why not?
Harrelson-
It felt so tacked on, just thrown in.
Woody Harrelson, I feel bad for you. Why are you doing Carnage? Why are you trying
He's
to do this?
miscast.
You need
He's
someone.
miscast.
He's
Like, if
not
you had
Carnage.
hired him in the 90s, like after he made
Yeah.
Natural Born Killers, I could buy him as Cletus Cassidy. But
Possibly.
Guy is way too old to play that character.
Yeah, not now.
Like there
And
are
also-
there are far better choices to play that
Far
character
better
now.
choices.
Yeah,
Far.
that was
Alright.
He's also like scratching blood. Where do you get that blood?
Yeah, that
How do
scene.
you know Eddie was coming?
That was a terrible way to end the movie. There should have been no end credits scene. That
No end
movie could
credits.
have ended
No.
stupidly.
Yeah.
It just, yeah. All right, that's the end of our spoiler
Yeah.
section.
That's
All right.
it. We're done.
Do you guys have
Put
any
that-
like wrapping up?
Yeah.
thoughts?
So like,
Should
if
we like tell like
like
our collective grade or something?
yeah, rating system. Like, what you can do whatever you want. Like, out of stars or out of 10. Like, what would you give it?
I have no idea.
I think that's like
I
a
think
ba-
we should. I think we should do maybe like 1 out of 10, 1 out of 10, 1 out of 100.
just 1 out of 10.
Maybe like
do
a
1 out of
percent?
5. Like
Sure, let's
one
do
Yeah,
out
one
well,
out
we
of
can do
5.
whatever rating we want. What do you want 1 out of 5? What would you give it? You think?
Jeez. This is the trouble for me. Like, it's really hard to rate movies that are boring.
Yeah.
Like,
True.
I would much rather rate a movie that's terrible because I can at least like express how frustrated the movie
If
made
only
me.
the entire movie was like the first third, it would just
Yeah.
be bad, and we could embrace that. But
It's like a 2.5 out of 5.
Really?
Like, maybe a 2.
well, no,
No,
It's
no,
like-
no.
yeah.
Just say your opinion. Say whatever your opinion is.
You found it
It's
boring.
It's
but
boring, but it's
fun at
not.
certain times.
It's not awful.
Yeah.
Like, I don't feel justified in giving it a 2 out of 5 because I feel like a 2 out of 5 is meant for like a truly bad movie.
Yeah.
Like, the trouble with this movie is it's so bland and so boring for most of it that it's really hard to be mad at the movie.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not mad. I
not
thought I was
mad at
going to
the
be mad. That,
movie.
I
Yeah.
went into the movie the first time and I was like, this is going to be a Sony like complete cash grab universe setup. I was entertained.
Yes.
It is an entertaining
It is a
movie.
train wreck of a movie that you can laugh at.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was not frustrated that I spent money. I would not recommend you see this in
No,
theaters.
No.
wait for it to
There's
come out on
nothing.
Redbox.
Wait
There's
for it
no
to come out on
value of
Redbox.
seeing it
Yeah.
in theaters,
Yeah.
but I don't think that it's not trash.
No.
Yeah.
It's
worth seeing.
It's schlock.
It's
It's
I'd
schlock.
say it's worth seeing. It's worth having fun with.
It's
See it
You're
with your-
kinder than I.
See it with your buddies. Have fun with it.
Yeah.
My grade would be a 2. It's bad. It's really, really bad. But the only thing that I would say, just watch it with your friends. That's all.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that I would say, because you can have fun with it.
This is a
It's
fun
not
movie to
good
rent.
as a movie. I think it fails.
Yeah.
But it's fun.
Yes.
So we're seeing, but it's awful.
So are we all going
Fair.
1 out of 5 or what?
I think we're all going
1 out of 5 would keep it up.
I'd give it a 1.5 out of 5 stars because, like, seriously,
Am I seriously giving the high grade here?
You are giving the high grading.
for me, I'm like, I judge films cinematically. I judge them
Yes.
from a filmic perspective, and what we just said was the positives. It's mildly funny, the CGI is okay-ish, and Tom Hardy embraces what movie he's in. Those are the only redeeming qualities
That's
in
it.
the entire 2-hour runtime of a superhero movie, and I'm like, that's not enough.
That is
The
not.
movie is unintentionally funny, and those 3 things. Other than that, it's a train wreck, but I'll tell you what, it's also hilarious. I enjoy it. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I think I might buy that on Blu-ray because it was just so blatantly stupid, and I was laughing my butt off. I cannot wait to riff that at home. So I'm going 1.5 out of 5.
1.5.
So
All right.
yeah, that's
We have grades
that's
up there.
Venom.
I can't believe I'm going with the high grade here. Maybe if I watched it again, I would probably drop it down. But
Yeah.
I think honestly, that's a good way to wrap up. Like
Yeah.
I was entertained. I was
It's
entertained, and that's about the best thing I can say about the movie.
It's entertaining, but wait for it to come out on Redbox or online streaming. That's the best summary
Yeah.
of it, really. So
That's
yeah.
it.
All right.
It's you can wait.
Yeah. So
You
that's
don't have to watch it now.
so that's Venom. This is first video for Three Brothers Movie Reviews,
Yay.
and please subscribe to the channel for more videos in the future.